cops. Authorized uniformed agents that are here to serve and protect the community and enforce the law. Now as a kid, you wanted to be one, I wanted to be one at some point, until I learned about the complexion of my skin, and then I learned that there was complications there. But I think it's pretty fair to say that not a lot of people trust the cops. I, for sure, do not trust the cops. But that's not what this video is all about. Today we're going to talk about the differences between a good cop and a bad cop. Now, stop right there. I know, you're not a cop. Who are you to fucking say what a good cop and a bad cop is? That right? Well, the answer is just simple. Not a lot of people trust the cops. Does that make sense? Now, I know I literally just told you that a few seconds ago, but I just wanted to repeat it because I think it's kind of fair that not a lot of people trust the cops. Now, I know that might be an unpopular opinion because the cops are here to keep us safe. We're supposed to be feeling safe around the cops, which is why I want to go through two categories, a few cases with you guys on what I think is a good cop and what I think is a bad cop. And hey, maybe I might just prove myself wrong. Might like cops a little more, I don't know. But before I get into the first category, I want to explain what a bad cop is to me. A bad cop is a cop that should have never been a cop at all. Plain and simple. I think we're living in a weird time where they're just picking up any nigga and giving him a gun and a badge, and that's kind of scary. And to clarify, we're talking about real cops, actual police officers. Just to let you know. But some bad cops probably weren't bullied enough in school. I hate to say it. Not condoning it, but should have happened. But needless to say, these type of cops put on their big boy pants and they want people to follow their orders. This gun and this badge means that you have to listen to me. Doesn't matter what I say. I could tell you to fucking pick up this dog shit, gobble it up like dinner. You're gonna have to do it, or else you're getting arrested. If not, you're getting capped. So that is what a bad cop is to me. I don't know what it would be to you, but that's what it is to me. So without further ado, let's get into the first category. Alright, so for this first case, we're gonna start light. I mean, the rest of these videos after this case, pretty hefty. So a little warning, if graphic content or anything like that is not for you, it's your chance to click off the video. But let's go. On November 12, 2023 in Okaloosa, Florida, police were called out to what I can only assume was a domestic violence dispute. And right off the bat, this chick is wanting her car back. Her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, whatever the fuck, he has her car and he's not wanting to give it back. Now he claimed that he gave the car back already at her mom's house, but it deadass only took one phone call to find out that shit was not true.
It's not at the house? Okay. It's not home. Okay.
So as easy as that, they go, scoop that nigga up, and put him in the police car. Probably charge him for like theft or some shit, I don't know. So it should be the end of this case. They got the man, put him in the car, getting ready to take him to jail. Simple, right? Well, that's when Officer Jesse Hernandez approaches a vehicle to do a secondary check. And as he's walking to the vehicle is when we hear nothing, but he hears what he describes as a fatal pop, thinking it's a gunshot. Now this nigga's duck tucking and rolling and shit, thinking he's from 21 Jump Street. He's laying on the ground screaming shots fired. Then he gets his heavy ass up off the ground, still screaming shots fired. No shots have been heard to be fired. Then he pulls out his Glock from his hip, then continues to mag dump into his fucking vehicle with the suspect in the car. Crazy, right? And this officer's just falling back and forward and shit, saying he got hit, that he is shot by this invisible gun that the cops did not find in the car. Now you guys are probably curious, as was I, to what the fuck did he hear? Cause I didn't hear anything. I still don't hear anything 3 years later. Well, it turns out that this nigga damn near killed somebody over a damn pine cone. A fucking pine cone. I guess the pine cone like hit the top of the roof and he thought it was a gunshot. Now the only excuse, and I'm not fucking kidding, the only excuse that could be is if he is a fucking traumatized US veteran, and he shouldn't even be a cop at that. But it turns out that the guy in the car, I don't know his name, it doesn't matter, he stole a car. He's fine, he didn't get hit at all, I guess he's fine. But Jesse Hernandez ended up getting fired or actually re-signed because of the embarrassment. This shit was actually everywhere. But get this, the officer did not get charged or convicted of anything because a nigga wasn't shot today. Basically what they said is that since he is fine, he didn't get hurt, nothing needs to happen, and that he doesn't need to be charged. So too bad. Next video. On January 18, 2016, officers in Arizona were called out into a hotel and reports of a gun being pointed out of a window. And that's when Officer Philip Mitchell makes his way to Daniel Schaefer, basically meeting Daniel and his friend outside of the hallway. Now I know there was a report of a gun, but to say that the officer gave this nigga a slight bit of a chance, I would be lying to you. Remember those big boy pants we talked at the beginning of the video? Yeah, Philip has them bitches on. This officer wants him to follow direct orders, and if he doesn't,
there's a very severe possibility you're both gonna get shot.
and I think it's fair to say that Daniel was already drunk in his hotel room, but like, why do I need to explain that? Because he's a grown ass man. But the only reason why I'm throwing this out there is because when Philip is giving out these orders, dear God, I would even be surprised if he knew what he was talking about. Get up, sit down, crawl to me. Don't crawl to me, don't use your hands, lay on the floor. This nigga is throwing out any kind of commands that is in the police book that he read that morning. So clearly, this guy is confused as fuck on the floor, not even knowing why this cop is here, because he didn't bother to explain, because he wanted to tell him shut up as he asked him, why am I being arrested? So I guess some things are moving forward, and Philip is asking him to crawl to me for the last time before Daniel goes to pull up his pants. And I know, to those types of people, that looks like he's trying to get a gun. There was no gun found on his person, and the gun that was found in his room was a gun for his patrol, for his pest control shit. That's not even a fucking gun. So after Daniel was just trying to pull up his drawers, Philip completely lights the shit up out of Daniel. And when backup finally came to investigate the room and found this fucking pellet gun, they probably fired his ass on the spot. But don't worry, leave it to the police department just to bring this nigga back. No problem solved. Just shot a man cold blood in the fucking hallway and you're just gonna bring him back on patrol, I guess, right? If you made it this far into the video, I hope you understand where people are coming from when they say that they don't trust the police. We just heard about a man getting shot in the hallway over a pellet gun, and then they fired this nigga and brought him back? I don't know, it's just making sense more and more every single day. But this next case is pretty important, and I can assure you this officer is not coming back or outside of prison for a really long time. On July 6th of 2024 in Springfield, Illinois, police were called to a lady's house claiming that she seen and heard somebody in her yard. But once they got there, the police said that they couldn't find signs of anybody in their yard. This is when Officer Sean Grayson steps inside the house to get more information about her car and the reason why she called. I'd also like to deeply point out, as he's asking her about her car, Officer Sean Grayson noticed that her stove is still turned on with boiling hot water. Now, this isn't clear in the video, but it looks like Sean asked Sonia to go turn off that stove. You can even see in the video, Sean is directing Sonia to the stove to go turn it off. Because you know, like any smart individual in the fucking world,
we don't need a fire while we're here.
So now Sonia's by the stove, turning off the stove and dumping the water down the sink. Sean's all of a sudden lost and confused, asking, what are you doing? If he was worried about the hot boiling water, why are you directing her towards the stove? Anyways, after answering that dumbass question, she says, I'm pouring the water down the stove. I'm turning off the stove. And then she's asking them, hey, where are you guys going? Because they were clearly backing up, walking away. Totally fine, justifiable. She then says, I rebuke you into the name of Jesus. I don't know what that means and how that's a threat at all, but what fucking ever. Sean is the first person to pull out his gun and say, now, I've recorded this video several times. I've watched this video several times. From the looks of it, she only had the pot for what, a split fucking second, and then she didn't have it in her hands at all. She's seen a gun in her face, drop down to the ground, potless, and when she's going to stand back up, Sean and only Sean puts 3 caps into her face, dropping her to the floor, knocking over the pot. And by the time the body cam dropped, the full body cam had dropped, you can already tell, those kind of people that we were talking about earlier, oh my god, she was gonna boil this nigga alive, oh my god, back the fucking blue. And I bet those fuckers would be shitting their pants today, because guess what? Sean Grayson was not only convicted of 2nd-degree murder, he was just now sentenced to 20 years in prison. Awesome. Rare fucking W. And another key point I like to point out in this case is his former partner didn't even see Sonia Massey as a fucking threat. Hence why Sean was the only one to shoot her in her face. So yeah, he was sentenced to like 20 years in prison like 2 weeks ago after I recorded this video. Thank God Sonia Massey finally got justice after 2 years. It was too long. Like, come on, a fucking 5-year-old could look at this video and say, wow, they just murdered this fucking lady. Not the first time. Finally, we can talk about the next category, the better category, because these bad cops just make me fucking sick. Next category. Now this category is about the good cops, the hard working cops, you know, Self-explanatory. I picked a few of my favorite cases that we're going to talk about, starting off with a case in the city of Minneapolis. On May 30th, 2024, police were called to the shooting in the streets of Minneapolis. Officer Jamal Mitchell pulls over to the side to help a man that was laying on the floor claiming to be shot, not realizing that the man laying on the floor is one of the shooters. As Officer Mitchell is getting ready to help a man that he thinks is wounded, the shooter ends up gunning down Officer Mitchell, causing a one-man standoff between the shooter and Minneapolis Police Department. Now it sucks because I recorded this video like 4 times and I cannot find a motive on why these niggas were shooting.
When officers arrived, they received gunfire immediately, and they exchanged gunfire. 2 officers were injured, and they were immediately brought to HCMC. Officer Jamal Mitchell died at the hospital, despite all life-saving measures by Hennepin Healthcare. The second officer received non-life-threatening injuries. The suspect on scene was injured, and even though he's injured in that gunfire, officer still rendered first aid, and he was pronounced deceased at the scene.
The shooting remains under investigation.
By the end of the standoff, 3 people were injured, including the shooter. 2 officers were sent to the hospital with one of them passing, and that officer would be Officer Mitchell. It's crazy because all this started with a man who pulled over on the side of the road to render aid to somebody who said that they were shot. It's really that kind of thing that gets you thinking you really don't know what these kind of officers are really going through. Now I know this case was probably like the shortest case of the whole video, but the reason why I really want to talk about it was probably for that reason. Like, this man was just waking up, hoping to make a difference in the day, thinking he was saving somebody's life, but he didn't end up going back home, and I think that's just kind of sad. But don't worry, we have longer cases in these next few videos, so next video. On December 4th, 2023 in Virginia, a police officer was chilling by the fire station when he heard what he thought would be a discharge of a firearm. But when he exited his vehicle to go check it out, is when he came in contact with James Yo. I'm gonna call him James Yo. He comes in contact with James Yo and learns that he's pointing flare guns into the air and firing them off.
Mr. Yo!
Now this kind of sucks for James because he lives right next to a park and an elementary school. Both places where kids could potentially be at, so they gotta get this nigga to stop. Within 25 minutes of the officer being there, over 40 flares were fired into the air, landing near both the park and the school. After 2 hours of this happening, the cops began to get more information from the neighbors, learning that recently James has been getting paranoid, thinking that the FBI and the federal government are keeping watch on him, trying to take him out, making sure that he's swimming with the fishes. So this deep paranoia is getting him to cover his windows in trash bags, isolating himself into this house. Some of his neighbors said that they haven't even seen him in weeks. So basically what you can say is that this paranoia can contribute to what's happening now. Make sense? So after the 2 hours, they bring in the fucking SWAT team and a negotiator to basically serve a search warrant on his house.
James, this is the Arlington Police Department. We need you to move away from your front door. Move away from your front door.
After negotiation doesn't work, they order James to move away from his door so they can use this big fucking military vehicle to poke into his door and enter into his house, causing James to shoot at this military vehicle, probably thinking it's some cop or FBI agent or something. And after 3 hours of surrounding this house, the house just fucking explodes. When I tell you the first time I seen this shit on the fucking news, I could not believe my eyes. That shit blew my mind, no pun intended. The explosion came from the bottom of the house. You can literally see the pressure exit and hit these fucking police officers, knocking them on their ass. By the time investigators got into the house, or what was left of it, they found a few gas cans, 2 shotguns, a handgun, 2 flare guns, and a few flares that looked like they were shot or unshot. But hey, how could we know? That shit was exploded. But yeah, it was kind of said that James Yu had like schizophrenia or some shit like that, and he was just really paranoid about the FBI or federal government coming to take his ass out. He isolated himself in the house. Neighbors haven't seen his ass in weeks. He threw trash bags outside of like his window to avoid even stepping foot outside of his house. Like, this shit was pretty crazy. But I'm not gonna lie to you, I did save the best for last. This next case is the whole reason why I'm making this video right now. When I tell you this has to be the most boss shit I've ever seen in my life, this might as well be a warning if you're not even into that kind of thing. next video. Okay, so this last case is gonna be one of the cases that we're gonna talk a little bit more about than the other ones. This case is pretty interesting, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since the first time I've seen it. So we're gonna get into it. On October 12, 2022 in Connecticut, police were called out to a bar fight, leading Nicholas Brutcher to leave the scene. But by the time police found him and pulled him over, both Nicholas and his brother seemed to be drunk or just off some shit. The cops began to explain that they were free to go and they weren't under arrest. The only thing is that they wanted to be able to take the truck with them. I guess cops cutting people a break just isn't enough for Nicholas, because by this time Nicholas just seems to get worse and more mad. But by the end of the traffic stop, Nicholas and his brother both take the hint and just ended up going home. And here I can just say they both ended on good terms and they just went on their separate ways, but that's just not the case. Because Connecticut police ended up getting a separate call, but this time it's Nicholas claiming that his brother Nathan is getting more aggressive and that they need to get there fast. And I think it's very important to remind you that Nathan was there at that traffic stop. And I know I could have said that they could have ended off on good terms, because in the video they're clearly dapping each other up, laughing about it, and then they just went home. But when police get the call that Nathan is getting more aggressive and they need to show up to the house, they show up to the house asking Nathan to come outside. And it's when we have Nicholas covered in camouflage gear, armed with a stagged arm AR-15, a Glock handgun, a a bolt action rifle, and a Mossberg 12-gauge shotgun that I don't even think was used because it was found at the doorway of the home. Now, as Nathan is answering the door to the police coming to check on him, the police ask him to step outside of the house. Is where we have Nicholas camping in the bushes. I swear to fuck, Fortnite type shit, camping in the bushes, waiting for these police officers to get to his porch so he can fucking ambush them. He switches his flashlight to tactical mode, initially blinding these officers, using his AR-15 to fire over 80 rounds into these officers' close fucking range. Now the first guy, he drops. The second guy, he runs around the house into another neighboring house. I have no fucking clue, but he's like across the street or some shit. Nicholas is still firing shots at backup who just arrived, and this is where I want you to keep a close look and listen to me fucking closely. Officer Alec Arado, sorry if I'm saying that shit fucking wrong, he was already shot close range. He was there pulling up at that porch. This is the man that made his way all around these 2 to 3 houses and made his way across the street back to his patrol car. As shots were still being rang out by this guy who's basically invisible in the nighttime in camouflage, Alec pulls out his Glock from his hip, uses his iron sights, and this nigga sits there for like 2 minutes and he like holds his breath and you hear a fucking gunshot. That's it. You hear a gunshot. Now, when I first watched this video, I wasn't clear on what was happening at all. I was not sure of a fucking thing.
Let me see that again.
Till we hear Nicholas's father, his own papa, say, "You got him." Are you fucking kidding me? You're telling me that this officer Alec, who's already injured across the street using his iron sights, hit one fatal shot, dropping this nigga like a sack of potatoes? Fucking absolute cinema. When I tell you I was overly excited seeing this video, this case was absolutely badass. I'm sorry, this shit was cool as fuck. A few things that we know about this case is Nicholas, he's clearly fucking dead, right? He's probably serving his time. Another thing that we know about this case is Nathan, he was not a part of this at all. Now this is where it gets me kind of thinking, still lock that nigga up, because he was sitting at that door basically waiting for something to happen. He could have let somebody know. You've got to be fucking me. And to be fair, when he got home, he did let his mom know that Nicholas was dressing up in his camouflage hunting gear. By the way, I'm from Utah. Hunting gear is common. That shit works. I don't even need to tell you. But he was already letting his mother know that Nathan was calling the cops to basically set these niggas, to backdoor these niggas. So not only does Nicholas know what he's fucking doing, Nathan now knows, and so does the mother. What happened? Nobody wanted to call them back up and say, hey, be careful. Fucking shots I don't know, you could have said something, I'm sorry. But Nathan claims that he doesn't remember anything from that night because he took some type of drug. I don't know if I can say it here on YouTube, but he took something else, obviously, so you can see it in the fucking video. But that still doesn't give an excuse, like, at all. 3 people knew that this shit was gonna happen, and it resulted into 2 cops losing their lives, getting gunned down, being set up in the most tragic way. But I've got to give it to that nigga Alec for taking the most craziest, impressive shot I've ever seen in my life. I have got to say, that was the craziest shit I've seen in my life. Kudos to that guy. I mean, I'm sorry that he lost his friends or whatever, but bro, He did his business. He handled that shit. When cops are going on to patrol, there's nothing to say what they can and cannot do. While there's still some cops out there that are getting ready to go save lives and serve and protect the community, there is still some officers who are there to do really jack shit. Some officers might not know what they're doing. Some officers shouldn't be doing the shit that they're doing at all. So even though there are a lot more bad cops out there, there are still some good ones that we need to thank. If you guys enjoy this kind of content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on what you think about the video. And feel free to leave a comment on what kind of videos you guys want to see on this channel next. I'm getting very versatile with my content, so I would love to hear what you guys would want to see more on the channel. My name is VO2, and I'll see you guys on the next one. See you later.